Hello and welcome to another weekly live stream. This time a day late because we had a power outage here the other night, and I didn't get everything back up and running again until late yesterday afternoon. So anyway, we're going to be working on polishing up things for this release. So before we get too much farther, there are the patrons streaming down below to the lower left. They're what helped me keep the lights on, keep my emails up and my servers running. And up in the upper left is where you can download the last version of the engine. The next one should be the public release. That's the plan. In which case we'll get rid of the password and yeah, my nose is itchy, and we'll do all the fancy stuff. So without further ado, let's get started. The master task list has a bunch of stuff on it that I want to try to get, but because I'm going to be so I've been working on resetting the world for my server while protecting certain areas, and that's working okay. I've got some performance issues that I had to deal with, but the thing that I want to fix is that, yeah, this one's a long-standing bug. You guys may have noticed this before. But for the far terrain, oh, that's not what I want. That's what I want. By the way, if you're on, say hi. I didn't get the messages out till late, so I don't know who's actually going to join today. It says I have one viewer. Hello, one viewer. Okay, so let me go and turn the brightness back. And we'll pause it. Yeah, so I was making sure that when I reset the world, that yeah, I feel dumb because I posted to Twitter and Facebook and Blue Sky hours ago, and I only just remembered 20 minutes ago to post to Discord. Because we were talking about Discord about other things, I didn't even think about posting the whatever. Okay, so you see how there's like a zigzag of lines where it's all green? That's because in that particular area, when the world was edited and it regenerated the far terrain for that section, because this is far terrain that we're seeing right now. When it regenerated that far terrain, it for some reason got rid of the snow. And since I'm going to go through the trouble of regenerating the world anyway, it's going to regenerate all these tiles and put the snow back where it's supposed to. And I just as soon fix the problem so that it doesn't like revert again, assuming someone edits a block there. So that's going to be the trick today, and we're going to... Hey, Woozy, how's it going? I think you're the only one on. So I got to figure out why when we edit a block on a particular tile, I think it's columns even. YouTube says I'm slow. So let's turn on the grid. Thanks, Woozy. Yeah, I'm doing okay. We had a power outage on Thursday night. Excuse me. And it was long enough that I had to kick the generator on, and then the generator didn't work. So I had to run out and buy another generator so that we didn't lose everything in our freezers and refrigerators. So that took me several hours. And then rerunning extension cords and so on. I had a bunch of extension cords up here in the office from one time when the power was out before, and I had just run... This was back a long time ago when the Mythruna servers were still getting, you know, several... like dozens of users a day, sometimes hundreds of users a day. And so back when the power went out back then, I ran an extension cord to the from the generator up through the office window. And so I had like these really long extension cords up here that everything was plugged into, and then when power came back on, I just plugged it back into the wall. So it had been a bit of a mess over here under the window. There was like coils of large extension cords, and it's been a mess for a long time. So since the power was out, I figured, well, I'll go ahead and clean that up because I had to steal those extension cords back to run the freezers and things. And so, yeah, it does. I mean, lately it has. It doesn't usually, and normally we don't lose power for more than 10 or 15 minutes. But apparently, this storm, we had like a big thunderstorm come through with, like, they said, like 80 miles an hour winds. I don't know. Something like that. Anyway, yeah, apparently knocked out a bunch of trees, knocked out power for like a lot of people. But we were like the last ones to come back on. But now I have a generator, and the generator I have now is better than the broken one, so because this one will take propane, and I pretty much always have propane. The old one took gasoline, and the old one, I went to start it, and I'm like, oh crap, I left the gas in from before, and it's been many, many years. So I'm like, there's no way this is going to start. But also, as soon as I turned the fuel line on, it started leaking gas all over the ground. I'm like, so I ran out and bought another one. Expense I didn't need, but now I have one, and it's better because it'll run off propane. I don't have to mess with gasoline anymore. So anyway, so if we edit one of these, if we put a block here, it's going to erase the snow in the far terrain. It won't locally, because you see if I go down here, all the snow is still here. But if I fly back over here, so that we can see it, like, go back to far terrain. Yep, we got green, 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 green. So I'm going to, like, do one of these chunks at a time to test as we figure out why it's doing this. But I'm going to have to dig into some code a little bit here. So, hey, we've got 2 concurrent viewers now. Ah, awesome. So anyway, I got to, like, start looking back through what's the difference between when it generates the first time and when it generates after an edit. Hey, Helix. Yeah, it's kind of cool. I'm not sure I've seen you much before. I think I messed up my regulars because I didn't post to Discord until late. Alright, so we want to... Well, first of all, we want to move this up to the top. Everything got rearranged. Okay, so let me remember how all this works. Let's see. Far terrain is not Mythruna specific. It's part of the open source libraries. But I think the interpretation of snow might be. Let me think. It's going to be some kind of tile generator. Tile column generator. Okay, so this is when it regenerates for a column. No, this is generating column data from a tile. That's different. You'll have to excuse me while I remember how all this works. I had hoped to finish with the world reset a lot sooner today. But I tested a bunch of things and turned out I wasn't really deleting the entities because I had a big if statement said it if false around it effectively. I had forgotten to turn the flag on. Okay, so no, I don't want to create a buffer. Okay, there's world. And so I've been debugging what happens when I started deleting the entities. The server runs out of memory, and I was trying to track down why that is, because that's bad. That means that something is not getting cleaned up. And first I thought it was just because no players were logged in, but I logged in and it still did it. And then if I flip around and I do it by component, it all works. which may or may not be because I'd already reduced the number of entities and so on. Anyway, back to what we're doing. We are taking the tile manager. Okay, I'm going to relearn how this happens. So we ask for a tile. It loads the tile, runs through all of the tile functions. And the tile functions is it terrain type function? No. Okay, let's look how World Manager sets itself up. Fortunately, I didn't hide a lot of this, so while it's a pain to read the code, it steps through step by step on how it builds the world up. Okay, so the terrain image database and the tile manager. Tell it terrain elevation generator, terrain type generator. Is that one of ours? Terrain type generator, yes. Okay, so this is when we generate a whole tile. I don't know if this is what gets, no, because this only happens if it's a new tile. So this does not update the image. Alright. But this is what generates it the first time. So this is when snow works. Man, I got a lot of commented out code here. Alright. So that's all good. But then there's something that comes back and updates that later when the terrain changes. So let's go through this. So we register a bunch of stuff for the morphology. And we load previously generated tiles. So all of this then set up the part that applies the actual morphology. Yeah, those are all tile functions. So they're going to operate on a whole tile. Yep, another whole tile, whole tile. So that's all good. So now we get back into where we're going to generate the columns. So somewhere in here we must be adding a listener to the, so a column is like a 32 by 32 area of the world that, you know, stretches up to the sky and down to the bedrock. Terrain image manager. I bet that's what does it. And there's an image type function. So do we have an image type function? We do. Okay. Okay. So I think it's there's two sort of images that are generated for each tile. One has the elevation in it, and the other has the sort of terrain type information in it. As I recall, it could actually all be packed into the same. Elevation and type might be packed into the same terrain. Yeah, and fluid is separate, I think, something like that. But I think where we're decoding here, we are not setting ice correctly. Block type index, find type. Yes, all that's good. Existing terrain type. For the image type function, we can initially check to see if the terrain flag is even set. If we want to let the user add to certain terrain. Oh, this is on a per cell basis. So this isn't actually what I need to fix. I think. Because this is just telling this guy, is he here? Nope. That is part of the, okay. Alright. The point clouds don't update either, which is problematic during the world reset anyway. So I don't think this is the problem, but it is certainly a potential source of problems. Because nothing here is checking frozen. But I'm going to see if this terrain image manager, what it's doing with this function. So we'll go back over here. We will look for terrain image manager. There it is. Okay, so terrain image manager. Yes, it updates the terrain image for a particular. Okay, so it marks them all dirty. And so then when it's time to update, we go through the columns that are dirty. For each column, we grab the leaf and the light data. Leaf data is the actual, I call it leaf because like a leaf of a tree, it's the bottom of the graph, like a hierarchy. Parent, child, all the way down to the leaf. But they're the 32 by 32 by 30. These are the lower level chunks, if you want to think of it that way in Mythruna. Looks like we picked up a third concurrent viewer. Alright, so here we are checking the block type index, ground type. We ignore the mask because we want to find the terrain surface even if it is underneath a solid structure. Yep. Top of our block might be hidden by a non-ground block, but it's still a ground block. Correct. Yeah, when you put like a block on top of another block, it doesn't render that top surface, but we don't care about that here because we're trying to, based on the actual blocks, we're trying to determine what the terrain surface is so that we can paint it back to that far terrain image. And we are definitely changing the type. Yeah, so existing and ground type. So we do go through every Alright. I'm trying to figure out what debugging I have to add to make this. I think this is where the problem happened, is over in that type function, which is fortunate. But I think I want to add some debugging here so that the other has context. So if the ground type, then we've hit ground. I see. So we go down, 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 down. And we start like up. And we move down until we find solid ground because that's where we want to stop. And so we keep asking this function over and over again. Have you found ground? Have you found ground? Then we take that ground type, and if it's different than the existing one, we replace it. And this is definitely what's happening because every cell in that terrain gets flipped from snow to rock or grass or whatever's underneath the snow. And so it is definitely that function that's screwing up. Let's add some log info. Let's see. Let's see. Checking. Wait. No. It's X, Y, Z. Type, result, ground type. Okay, so we'll see each of those as they come through. And then I will go find the right window. This one, Gradle install. Okay, while that's doing its thing, hopefully I didn't add a compile error. We can come back over here to this image type function. So this is the thing that's going wrong. So we drop down until we find the terrain bits. And existing terrain type. Yeah. Raw cell value. Block type. And type bits. All right. And then we'll just steal this and turn it into an info because I don't feel like changing the log level. That should be enough to tell us what bad things are happening. But I don't see anything setting anything to frozen. So we have a oh, here we go. Block type equals ice type. Well, what about snow? Okay, ice type is... Yeah, what about snow? Ice type, dirt type. The implication is that snow would have continued working. Ah! Okay. So I'm going to leave the debugging in, but we might just fix this by doing base type equals train use existing ice. Yeah. Because for the so if it's block type equals ice type or snow type, because both of those make white, I think. Ooh, that would be a good thing to check though. So this is how we generate the original. So we've got keeping track of how frozen we are. Okay, we're frozen. Base type ice. Let's look up terrain types because I think that there is no difference between snow and ice. Yep, ice. Ice and snow are the same. And then we have, but we have a frozen bit. So we consider that to be grass, but frozen. Which might not be any different than... Alright, let's see what we would have done here. Train type generator. It's frozen. We do some things with the water. Type equals the base type and whether we're frozen or not. But snow is not a type. So that's fine. Would block type have been... Okay, let's put that in and see if it fixes it. But no, because... that's not right. Because we want to leave the existing terrain type. But we want to make it frozen. So set base type. We don't have a function for setting frozenness. We can ask. So that's the gap, I think. Not this. But I am going to add some debugging. I want to at least run it once when it fails, first of all. Let's take snow type just so we can see. Snow type, ice type. Okay, now we should be able to run the game. So yep, fancy new splash screen, play. Continue last world. Now that I don't use the ka-chunk sound for buttons anymore, I'm wondering if I should put that back for the chat message. I changed it to be a kind of a bling sound because I want it to be more obvious. But the ka-chunk sound was at least, you know, quite obnoxious. Excuse me. If we can get this bug fixed, maybe we can work on some new block types. I have some ideas. Uh-oh. Oh, okay. I thought I crashed for a second. Oh, and one of the other things I want to do is make that you are experiencing portal blindness thing down here. I think I want that to be up here to make it more obvious. Alright, so let us... Is there a new... there is not an explosive block, no. There may be someday, but not now. New block types. Well, like right now... so I try to add one new building type, like one new structure type and one new block type to the game, and I really wanted to add like Adobe brick and stuff, you know, stucco, but I didn't get something working. But right now there is an ice block, for example, but it's only a cube, so you can place ice, but it's only a cube, and so I would like to expand that to be all of the other shapes like stone, so that you could actually have like carved ice things. And I do think it'd be kind of cool if once you chopped away the outside, you know, with your axe or whatever, if it, boy, it's doing something down there. Oh yeah, I made a modification, so it's checking all. I shouldn't have done that. I had the debug code in and I modified the world, so now it's dumping a ton of debug. So I'm going to leave that ice block there because that's not what I wanted to test, because this is already messed up terrain. Anyway, yeah, so I want like all the shapes, and I thought it'd be cool if it was like semi-transparent inside when you used an axe to chop it away, because I thought that'd be cool looking. But anyway, I can at least make all the shapes. I also wanted to make, we added those window panes, and so I think I'm going to go up on that ridge and modify something, but I got to wait till this bit finishes. It is halfway done. Oh wow, that went all the way down to 0. Oh, because it's going tile by tile. Alright. Ugh. Oh, yeah, okay, I'm going to have to kill this because it's going through every... No, it won't go through every tile. Anyway, here's what I was talking about with the chat message. Hello, world. Kabing! I don't know if that's a good chat message or not. I kind of... it blended in when it was the same sound as the buttons, but now the buttons have their own little sound. So I'm thinking of putting it back to the kajunk and getting rid of the bling, or making it optional, maybe. Anyway, yeah, so the other... I'm trying to wait for this to finish, but I think I'm going to have to kill it. So the other one is we had... What did I call them? The frames? What the heck did I call them? It's not in the glass, is it? Yes, it is. The leaded panel. So like, you can kind of see it in the... down at the bottom of the screen there. Right. I thought about making a version of that that's just like a grate, like crisscross grate, non-specific directional, and use that on the floor of the dungeons where I've got the little custom objects now. Okay, I'm gonna have to kill this and start over, guys. Sorry. That was never gonna finish in a million years. Yeah. I mean, technically it had, it's just the log was never going to catch up. In fact, what we can do is even reduce the amount of logging so that it's more reasonable. So instead of logging every Y, oh, yeah, except for we kind of do want that. Okay, I'm going to just leave that for now because I think we'll be able to see what we want to see. But anyway, like for going back to other block types I wanted to add, I want to have a 3D noise function that I can use for if you have like stucco covered brick, you want the stucco to like be off in some places so you can see the brick through the stucco. And I'd like to use a 3D noise function so that doesn't just repeat with every block, right? So like on a 32 by 32 area of the world, it will repeat, but not at the single tile level or single meter level block. But I started looking again into 3D noise functions because I want something fast, and it was just going to be a deeper hole than I wanted to get into, and I've got like a ton of things I got to get done to get this release out. So, but ice blocks, I can turn that ice block into multiple shapes. Okay, so let's get rid of the snow here in a way that we don't mean to, by going and placing a block right here. Let's just place one right here. Okay. So that will make a bunch of... I don't know. When's GTA 6 come out? Alright, so we've got... Where am I standing? I'm 10,119, 4,119. Oh, that's not helpful. So 31, 33, blah, 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 blah. Always -1. Oh yeah, no, Mythruna won't be done by then. Okay, so hold on. We come down here, 19, then we start to get stuff. Yeah, so existing is that. The base type is 5. Block is 384, which is snow. That's what we want to do something special with. So if it's snow, we want to combine the base type with the, with the frozen bit. So basically we want to reuse the base type but turn the frozen on. There's already a flag that says this was world generated and not the player didn't place it down. So we know terrain wise this should be snow. So I think that's the fix. Oops. And so what happened is, you'll see when I come back over here and let the far terrain kick in, assuming it really finished. Okay, it hasn't finished yet. Oops, which means we can use that spot again. So see, it's still updating. Alright, so let's kill this. Well, I'll show you the error though. Let me kill the logging. And I'll show you. So let's go ahead and let that compile. Kill the logging. Come back over here. Kill this logging. Equals terrain bits. Terrain bits equals cellgen type. Hold on. So it's over here. Hold on. Checking something else real quick. While I am here, cellgen. No. Curious, is Java the language you're most comfortable with? Yeah. I mean, I've programmed in a lot of language, C, C++, assembly language. But Java is very comfortable. Cellgen star Java. mworld cellgen type. Like, there's just Java is very comfortable because I just don't have to think about the low-level memory allocation and stuff that C and C++ you've got to constantly be aware of. So terrain is when there's one bit set. Yeah, so if the cellgen type is... Okay. So that's what this is. And in my debugging here, we had type 0. Okay, so apply type bits 1, type bits 0. Yeah, so type bits 1 means that it was terrain, otherwise we ignore it, which means that I probably could have saved myself a lot of time by putting this down here. But anyway, let's go ahead and take this out. Oh wait, I had added some other stuff, so let's just comment that out for now. Okay, so I'm not going to fix it, but I want to show you what the problem was. play. And I'll show, if this works, I mean, if this, yeah. When we get this working, I'll show you something else before we do the ice blocks. Ice block should be really, really easy, because I have a tool for that. Alright, let's play. Alright, let's go back over here and put another block down, this time without all the debugging, so it should actually finish within our lifetime. Alright, so now if I come back, that should reset itself. No. Oh, I know why. This is, I think I know why. This is as high as terrain can generate. I think I actually have to put a block below the max terrain height in order to have it do that. Okay, so now it says terrain's already generated. Process dirty column. Yeah, I think we didn't process the. Well, we must have. No, it's not doing it. I haven't fixed anything and it's not doing it. Maybe I have to remove a snow block? Does the terrain generate in continents or just... No, yeah, continents for sure. Like, it's so big though, like you can't see. But, I mean, there is definitely, we are part of a continent. There are definitely continents. If I went far enough east, we'd hit a coastline. It's just, they're huge. Right, they are continent sized. Actually, they're not like real world continent size. Okay, so if we delete a bunch of these, let's try going back over here. But they're quite large. Like, it takes days and days. Oh, so why isn't it messing up? I know this is still doing it because I had this problem just earlier, but now I can't figure out why it's not messing up. See that green grass there? Okay, so let's try putting something next to that. Okay, so let's remove a bunch of this snow. Oh, there's like a bunch of grass here, so let's let me put something other than dirt, maybe. Yeah, glass, sure. I need to add a sound effect for block placement. Alright, so let's see. That should have dirtied it up. Yep. Okay, so let's head back up here to the visitor center. Okay, so it did fail this time. Okay. I guess maybe I probably had to place a block that was not dirt. Okay, so we've made it fail. Now I know how to fix it. Well, I believe I know how to fix it. If the block type equals dirt... Oh yeah, then we gotta do fancier things. If... So let's keep track of no, I think it's straightforward. I think if the block type is snow, then if the base type is also snow, use existing. Okay, but if not, then we just no, if the base type is, we don't care about that. If the block type is snow, and if it's frozen, block type is snow, not that, this one, and if it's frozen, the base type, because base type is, yep, oh no, existing terrain type. Okay, so if the block type is, and the existing terrain type is frozen, then just return that. And if it's not, then what do? We don't do anything. We let the normal stuff fall through, because this means that we need to set it as frozen. Public static. I don't know how to test that, but byte set frozen int type, and so we want the result to be something like this. We want the result to be anything not frozen. So this is a bitwise not, which means it will, all of the 1 bits in frozen will be flipped to 0, and all the 0 bits will be flipped to 1. So in this case, this one gets flipped to 0, and all these get flipped to 1. And then we a bitwise and the value. So essentially, whatever the value had before, we're chopping it off, and we're keeping all of these bits of whatever value was passed in. And then we're going to combine that with where's new type? Oh, no, we don't need that. So we're going to bind that with frozen. So bitwise or, if it's 1 or a 0, or if it's a 1 or a 1 in here, anyway, whatever. You guys get it or you don't. And my explanation won't help. Oh yes, way long time ago. Back in the 1980s, 1990s, because I'm an old fart. Well, I was a kid too, so. Yeah, my early experience with computers was BASIC and assembly language. Like, we used to, you could use, this was on a Texas Instruments computer, but you could use BASIC to write assembly language by poking it into RAM and running it. And then later on a IBM PC compatible computer, we'd make the actual EXEs and stuff and do assembly language there. I did that before I did C. In fact, learn C later on the job, so to speak. Okay, so whatever it was, types set frozen, existing terrain type, terrain set frozen, that's all. It does not take an argument because we just, I guess we could have so yeah, so we could have, and then we could have done this. That way we can turn it on or off if we want. Frozen and frozen. Okay, so whatever I pass in here, as long as it's got that top bit set, it'll set it, otherwise it'll clear it. Alright, so that means we have to pass in, not here, this one. Terrain types frozen. Alright, let's see if that fixed the problem. Whoops. Where'd I get value from? Right here. Okay, so that would be type. Yeah, probably value would have been a better word. Alright. Assembly is kind of fun in a sense because it's really low level, but with modern computers, Pentium, from the Pentium on, writing assembly language got a lot more complicated. Back on the old, x86 days, it's a lot more fun. You could do some neat stuff. Yeah, back in the back in the days when all of us were trying to figure out how Doom worked, and Quake was still coming out, but the Wacom compiler, you could you could direct it to generate the assembly language for a particular, so the Wacom C compiler, you could have it generate the assembly language for a particular function or method, and then you could turn that into the code, and you could go and like tweak it to your needs, which was kind of cool. What kind of software I worked on? Well, when it wasn't a hobby anymore, see, the first paying job I had writing software. Well, I mean, I was like, I worked as a tester for a company, and I wrote some label printing stuff and so on when I got tired of packing boxes. Hold on, maybe it didn't. Anyway, my first paying job as a coder, I was a file clerk, but I wrote some inventory control software because I'd been programming a long time personally. Yeah, it didn't actually change that, so I don't know if we're going to get to see it fixed or not. Oh, well, maybe it fixed itself when we rebooted. Anyway, and then my first real job was writing like interactive voice response systems for telephones, and that was my C job. And then we wrote forms processing software for telemarketers. Yeah, like the two evil things you can do in the telecom industry is write the systems, press 1 to be ignored, or the scripts that telemarketers use, right? There's like two of the most annoying telecom things. But I got a lot of because it was a forms processor, we did a lot of graphics stuff. Okay, so I think that worked better this time. I'm pretty sure it had put grass there last time. But let's like plop some more stuff here. Yeah, see, this normally would have really messed with and I think everywhere I put glass now will lose the snow. But no, actually it's working. So I did that for a while. I worked that I did a lot of low-level graphics programming for that, so that was kind of cool. And I was always like into games on the side. Then I worked for a medical transcription company where, you know, we basically doctors would call in and record their dictation, their notes and stuff, and then people who were really good at that, typing that stuff up, would type it up, and we managed all the documents, so content management system essentially. But then the next job, every job I've had after that was way cooler because they all dealt with like maps and graphics and stuff like that, because I worked for a while as a contractor, and one of the things we did was work on like software that designs like microwave and satellite networks, cellular phone networks and stuff. That was a lot of fun because you dealt with terrain and, you know, plotting microwave paths over the terrain and making sure it cleared the trees and stuff like that. It was a lot of fun. Okay, and I did VisSim work for a while at VR and some other things a long time ago. Okay, so all this is working now. So let me show you what I was talking about with the I was going to say about the ice blocks. One thing is right now is if I get my ice block out, I set it here, boink, and then I get my axe out, right, and I swing left. Yeah, that's what I want. Yeah. So I go over here and I chop it, boink, boink. See, it's just chopping in cubes. And I think if we let it sit long enough for that object to revert, it'll revert back to a cube unless I've like sufficiently cut it down. So if I give it the rest of the shapes, then we can actually chop up ice a little better. So trying to, I don't know how long I have to wait for that. So anyway, let's make ice blocks, because I'm pretty sure I have fixed the terrain issue, and I'll be able to test that more deeply later. Yeah, because like everything I did before would cause that, and now it's not doing it. So anyway, yeah. So let's make. I was kind of hoping I wait long enough it would revert back to its normal form, which gets rid of the object. But I don't remember how long we have to wait. We could look it up. Well, so while that's sitting there, let's go into the scripts. So for those of you who don't know, if this is a Mythruna has it uses Groovy as its scripting language for all of its logic and stuff. So the object. So let me come over here and pause time so that we don't. So in here, what are they called? So all of the objects, their behaviors and things, the in-game objects are defined in these Groovy scripts. I'm trying to remember where I put the. This is called a facsimile object. It's a it's pretending to be a cube, but it's got like subparts. Did I put it in prototype? No. It must be objects. Base objects? I know it has its own type. Yeah, chop facsimile. No, we can't tell. It must be where we do the chopping, which would still be in here, I think. Let's see. Chop. Base object. Oh, I bet. Object tool, no. Standard objects. Standard tools. Nope. Something handles the swinging. Oh yeah, this is what adds the tools to us. Is it here? Yeah. Current activity swing left, start activity. Yeah, I don't think we get to main click is chop. Somewhere we create all this, and maybe that's in a system in Java code. Temporary object system? No, that's something else entirely. Sim. Contact system, I don't think so. Yeah, destructible system chop. Destructible object system. This is it. Okay, so if we chopped there it goes. Oh no, it just got rid of it. Yeah. It's a partial enough block, it just got rid of it. Right as I found out that it's 10 minutes. So they decay in 10 minutes. But a normal block would have found the closest size shape to use. Anyway, so what we'll do is we'll real quickly go into the block set, Gradle run shaper. And we'll take a look at, I'm pretty sure stone is the most complete of all of the block types, so we'll reskin it as ice and then delete the other ice block. Okay, so if we go find ice, these are not in alphabetical order necessarily. Yeah, see, we go straight from H to L. One of the big differences between old Mythruna and new Mythruna is that I can add new block types and the worlds automatically adjust. I can even reorder these and the world will figure it out. Because it creates a mapping. So ice came later, which is why it's further down in the list. And I may, yeah, there it is, ice cube. Okay, so there's our ice cube. Not transparent at all, which is fine. Okay, so that is ice is a material type apparently. Should have been water. Because I think I have water as a base type. So what would water be in? I don't, I can't bring up the, Alright, so let's go to stone. Okay. Then we'll create a reskin. The new base is going to be called ice. And for this, we want ice. Our new skin. Create the reskin. Ta-da! And I think it's water that we want. Does anybody know off the top of their head what the density of ice is? Let us check. Uh, 0.917. So let's call it 0.92. What's the density of snow? I think it would vary. 50. Alright. Let me see what we have defined already for snow, and I've got to find that other ice block and remove it anyway. But as we go, I think dirt might have some water in it. Nope, it's just dirt. I was pretty sure I made water a type, but a subtype, material type. Not visual material, but like what it's actually made of. Mudstone. Mudstone is its own thing. That's not right either. That should be stone and I wonder if my substances got screwed up, because this should be stone and dirt. Okay, so that's definitely right. Sand should be sand. Cobble. Cobble should have sand and cobble cube. No, it's just cobble, so something got screwed up somewhere. Or I have defined these types already. Oh boy. It could be that I've already defined cobble as... Okay, in which case ice already has a... Let's just use ice. It'll be easier to search and replace later if I at least consistent. Okay, so like this is... Stone is clearly not right. Ice would be the one. And so then I can go down. Well, I can hit this and then... down. Anyway, and so on and so forth. But you see we've got all of the... We got all the shapes here, and I could go back and make them all the ice substance type, which is when you're collecting resources, how they work out. But I'll do that on my own time, because I can actually just go edit the JSON file. Alright, so we want to save the blocks. We want to compile the blocks, and just in case, we'll compile the materials. And now, oh yeah, something... It's really doing its thing. Oh, you know what, though? We have 2 ice blocks defined. I never went and removed the other ice block. Hopefully I didn't just screw something up. Uh-oh. Pepsi's gone. So ice was past all the things. There it is. So we will remove this one. This is called an ice cube. We'll delete that block type because we've already got one at the bottom. Hopefully it didn't get deduped. Ice cube. Oh no, it found our existing ice. Nice. Alright then. Now, save blocks, compile blocks, and compile materials, just in case. Alright, so now we should be able to run Gradle. We should have all the block types we want. All the ice shapes we want. Okay, so let's continue the last game. Last world. Kabrook. Come on, come on, come on, come on, come on. Mara. Yeah, I named my character in Oblivion Remastered. I named her Mara, and I had totally forgotten that one of the Elder Scrolls deities is named Mara. So that makes it confusing sometimes when I'm reading books and stuff. Alright, come on. Come on, we can do it. Don't say nothing, just do it. Alright. So yes, let's re-equip this guy. And we should still have... Yes, see, I do have water. Dark granite. Okay, so if I do ice, it should tell me I can make 3 of them with the materials I have, which is almost... I wonder if that's from chopping. Anyway, so let's put one down. Oh yeah, because I was deleting them before. I deleted snow blocks before, that's why. So yeah, ice cube's already mapped. Ice is already mapped to water. Okay, so we've got this nice big hunk of ice here. Let's take out our... well, first of all, we can see we've got all the different shapes, right? So we can make a post. Doink. Doink, right? So we've got all the different shapes now. And that means if we take out our axe, we ought to be able to chop this. Doink, doink. And yeah, now we get like lots of little teeny pieces. Doink, 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 doink. So if you wanted to chop ice the old-fashioned way, of course the lighting gets a little screwed up. Whoops. Yeah, we're just chopping backwards. There we go. So we can chop them all up. And then if we were to wait 10 minutes, we could see that it would figure out the best shape to replace them with. Yeah, the lighting is kind of messed up in the... we'll fix that someday. Like on full light, it's not so bad. But the fact that blocks are little different than objects, that's what's causing that, since these are object stand-ins. Like we got like a little ding, little chop, 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 chop. So you can chop it all up. We desperately need sound effects for this part, right? Whoops. Yeah. Okay. Yeah, although trees do gross things right now because that's not fully implemented. Trees are actually supposed to fall over. But if I simulate what it is with one of these was it trunk? Yeah. So if I make a trunk here, so trunks are kind of messed up. What's supposed to happen is it's supposed to turn into a wedge, and the tree would fall over. Not your own, but any of the ones placed by the game. This isn't a tree. This is a bunch of tree trunks that I've placed as a block. But right now, it doesn't have enough sub shapes. So if I come in here and I chop it with an axe, it just turns into, oh, I might have fixed it. Oh, yeah. So it used to turn into a bunch of little sticks. But I must have fixed that. Yes. Yes, it chops on the blade out. It's physics-based. That's the whole point, in fact. Since you can, you can design your own stuff, right? The idea would be that you could design your own weapons, and then they should have physics, right? Because these I just designed with the same editors that are in the game. I've just applied specific properties to them to make them objects that you can hold in your hand. But eventually that will be available to you as well. So actually, yeah. So the sword is similar. We can flip to a different swing, and eventually there'll be different swings you can learn and stuff, and chain them together. But yeah, so we can like chop overhead with our sword, and eventually that'll cause different wear and tear on your weapons, and your weapons will be repairable and all other stuff. Unlike other games, like your weapons will be a part of you. You'll have customized them. So like this one that I carry, you'll potentially be able to add, if it's got the right wiring, you'll be able to add, magic upgrades and things to it that you can build yourself. So different kind of slot implants that you can craft in on the workbench. When you design and make your piece, or whatever the whatever the final crafting looks like, you'll be able to potentially install little slots to add magic upgrades and things. Make them, flaming sword or whatever. So, anyway, I wanted it all to be physics-based, so it was very important that this part work, right? And so that when you hit something over here, yeah, I just think it's funny that, it doesn't do anything now, but if we had regular wood, because it has all the shapes, let's use regular wood. Regular wood cube. Let's make a cube here, and a cube here. And so then, then if I go over here, I grab my axe, switch to an overhead grip and bark. Oops. Oh, I'm getting stuck on my, there we go, boink, 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 boink. So you can like just chop it. And yes, it's physics-based, so whatever the head of the axe hits. And eventually, like, the axe has certain properties. Will you be able to chop enemies' limbs off? I want to, yes. So when I design the characters, so some of this might not be possible in the short or mid-term, but let's bring up a random elf male. Okay, there's a random elf male. So the rigs support so the rigs support having different scale. So if like I scale from the shoulder down to 0, then his arm is gone. And I want to have the parts and stuff so you can cut them off. But I also want to have a skeleton inside, so that you could have like a bone protruding and so on. Like I want the actual skeleton models. If you know you have skeletons to fight, I want them to be the same as the skeleton inside of a person, so that you might even leave little. So that, for one thing, they can wear all the clothes. These clothes are customizable too. Like you can edit your own clothing. So let's see, basic shirt. You can edit that shirt. And you can put your own stuff on the shirt. If you don't like that neckline, you can make a new neckline. You can switch up, like maybe we got like a chainmail little section there or whatever. And it can be layered. So like if we had, let me do something really ridiculous like plaid, right? So if you had blue plaid down here, and then you picked chainmail again. You put that over. It's hard to see here, but you can actually see the chainmail. You can actually see that blue through the chainmail, right? Like you can see it's darker. Yep. You have to work your way through armor layers. Exactly. And depending on the sharpness of the tool you're using and the material, right? If you've carved the sword out of wood or whatever, it's not going to chop very many things. It'll hurt people, but it's not going to chop through chainmail pretty much ever, whereas you'd have to have something really sharp or really blunt to do damage through all that. Anyway, so you could make this custom shirt. Yeah, unfortunately I don't want to save that. But anyway, so the idea being that the skeletons should be modeled in such a way that they can wear this clothing too, and it just kind of hangs weird. Because then you could have like tattered clothing, the same clothing that a player could wear, or any other NPC could wear, could be worn by the skeletons. And yeah, so that'd be kind of cool. So all these are the things I plan. So these guys eventually, see, based on the chopping that I did when it reverted back to real blocks, it picked the closest shape it could find based on what I chopped out. Because I didn't want to leave it as objects forever, because they take up like this object sitting here like this takes up a lot of resources that a block just does not. So eventually, after 10 minutes, they revert back to blocks unless you've been chopping on them. But yeah, you can go and dig through caves and stuff. But yeah, I don't think I put chopping on the wands. But like the idea being that on your workbench when you make something, you'll be able to define where the handles are, and maybe even like what kind of default swings they have. So that an axe might work a little differently than a mace or something. I don't know. That's still TBD. Getting it just working at all was the trick, and so now that's working. Now the next thing after getting this release out will be making these guys a little smarter, because he can dumb walk around. If I give him a home, he'll wander around. Let's give him more space to walk. Oh yeah, see, these reverted back to the closest shape. So he'll wander around, but if he can't walk up ramps or upstairs or anything, and he has no intelligence. So that'll be what we work on next. That's what the last live streams have all been about, giving these guys a little bit more intelligence, because then I can put monsters in the dungeons, which we can't have right now, because they would just be too stupid. Okay, so we've got ice. What's another thing I can tackle? Here, let me give him a little more space to walk around. I think let's I don't think I want to Photoshop a thing, but what I could do is we've got these glass, I think I called them window, right? No. I just did this right. We got, I think it's just glass, maybe? Yeah. So we've got these, like the leaded panel. And so, yeah, so we're at an angle, right? That's why the whole world's twisted. But if we go over here, I could like I could replace all of these guys with the better cool looking leaded glass. But I kind of wanted to do a horizontal versions of that, so you could put them in the ceiling and stuff too. So maybe that's something we could do. I think it's like I have so many bugs to fix. I just fixed one major one. Which means technically we could let all this regenerate. Anyway, so we've got that. We could work on another building type, but I kind of like to leave those as a surprise. Let me think. Let's, what is going on here? Somebody is very unhappy. Oh. No, it's just going slow. Long style query. Okay, it's just a temporary thing. Oh, it's because it was loading this list. Those are slow queries. That's something I have to fix in the future. So let's see. We got this done. I'm not going to mark it done because I haven't committed it yet. I want to make a more obvious portal blindness message. Oh, the other thing is I want to do is make sure the dungeon prototype one doesn't destroy other dungeons, because I'm pretty sure it does. And if you guys haven't been on, you can see the dungeon prototype one. So the eventually there'll be in-world generated dungeons, right? But for the time being, you can force generate a dungeon. And which way does it go? Let's see if I have to. Let's bring the map up. I think this way. So if I come in here, let's go back down the hill. Zoom. Yeah, because there was a dungeon over here. Yeah, there is a dungeon over there. Okay, so if I come back down here somewhere, so we can generate a dungeon near the caves. Yeah, and normally you wouldn't be able to fly like this, right? This is a the fact that you can hit Q to like fly is a debug prototyping thing right now. Alright, so let's make a dungeon down here. So with the dungeon one equipped, oh yeah, we can put it down in this little pit right here. With the dungeon one equipped, we can right click right here, and it'll create the maze, and it'll give us, should give us little maps. Yep, okay, so it gives you like a little map of all the floors. So this is what the first floor of the dungeon looks like. This is the entrance. And these are the two that take us down to the other level. So we can actually go in and see. Shrunk. And this is what I was talking about. If I had, like, these are kind of expensive to use as blocks because they're actual objects. Like if I right click on this, I can like look at it and it says, you know, metal grate fixed into the floor because it's an actual object. Same with the fire, but at least the campfires are minimized. So we've got this. We just came in this way. It's telling us, you know, there's a tunnel here and here. That's that tunnel. Oh yeah, we've already got like a little treasure room over here. So we got a nice little treasure room, little grates in the floor, torch sconces. So should be able to open that. Yeah, there's nothing in it yet, right? No loot yet. This isn't going to get us any deeper in the dungeon. Anyway, the point is, I think that the way the dungeon wand was set up is that you can click again and remove the dungeon. And I think it deletes all the objects in it. Oh, I don't have my wand, so it got put down in the... So when you create a dungeon, it takes your wand away and puts it in the final room of the dungeon. So if we wanted our wand back, we've got to go down and retrieve it. That's like a way to limit the amount of dungeons a player can generate at any one time. Because eventually that's not the way it's going to work. Oh yeah, and there are quests. The towns have NPCs that will give you quests, simple fetch quests for now. This is in the prototype stuff, dungeon wand. So if I place, it generates a dungeon. Wait, that's not the wand. Where is the dungeon generator? Okay. So the main click of a block, find all of the existing text objects and delete them. See, that's bad. So if you left click with your wand, it will erase not only this. So let's go back. Let's go down. We're going to cheat. Let's just we're going to cheat and just bypass. Well, okay. Let me show you, since if you guys are new to this. Normally there wouldn't be a nice map, but you can use it to kind of find your way quickly. So if we go straight back, left, straight up, I think. So I want to go out of here this way. I want to make a right turn, go as far as I can, make a left turn, take my first right, and then go back as far as I can. So we can go wandering through the dark dungeon. So make a right turn, go straight back as far as I can, then make a left, then make a right, and go all the way back as far as I can. So imagine that there will be a bunch of monsters in here, right? Spiders and skeletons. Okay, so here's the other one. We're on the next level. We are probably here. No, we would not be here. Because, oh yeah. Yeah, we are. Because this goes and turns right. And then if we make a right, this right, then our next right will get down to the next drop. Okay, so go down here. Super dark. YouTube ought to have, YouTube compression ought to have a lot of fun with that. Okay, so next right we can make, we should make it, there it is, very dark. And the other thing is, I need carryable torches, so that or light sources, self-illuminating, because dungeons are a pain in the butt right now. Okay, so here's the other down, so we can go down again. Alright, so we are probably here. This is a treasure room. So we are here. So we want to go out to the right and then just go straight. There's a, yeah, that's easy. Another treasure room. The rooms that are lit by green are treasure rooms. The rooms that are lit by red would be like a boss fight, or a boss or mini boss, I can't remember. And so there's treasure in there too. Maybe you already have one, but do you plan to make a roadmap for this game? I do have a roadmap. It's basically my giant spreadsheet, but I don't work on it in a particular order. But it's got, you know, thousands of items on it at this point. I have a like overall plan, but what I work on from month to month sometimes depends on as I get into the thick of things, I realize, hey, I'm going to need this feature X, Y, and Z in order to do this next big thing, and so I'll implement those. Like lately, I've been working on different things, and then we do on the live stream, we work on something completely different that's maybe a longer term goal on the roadmap, but is more entertaining to watch. Like the character pathfinding stuff. Okay, so we just dropped down, like literally right here. Yeah, that's the other one. So we are in this, and if we go straight, left, straight on back. There's only one exit to this level. So we go straight, left, straight on back as far as we can, and then right. Okay, straight, left. Ooh, magic room. Straight on back as far as we can. Yeah, my spreadsheet. So, and I organize it into releases. So if we look over here, anything that's gray has already been done, and then I have like a summary. So it's kind of like a work breakdown structure. And so as it rolls up, you know, I can see how close I am, and of course I adjust how much I'm putting into a particular release. And then, like I have over here, which my priority task, which are the things I've slated for this next release or wanted to get done, but I'm going to remove most of these this weekend because I've got to like focus. I want to get this out by next week because it'll be the first public release. Whereas like you don't have to have the little password up here in the corner to get it, so I can like post links everywhere. Back like the old Mythruna. We'll get more traffic on my server hopefully. So, but yeah, I have a live stream every week on Friday, except for this week because of the little power outages and things. I think we're in the bottom level. So we're in this corner right here. Oh, this shows that we're 2 ways down. Maybe I missed something. So if we go straight, the treasure's always in the room farthest from the entrance, so I think it would be down here. It'll be one of these things. If I head straight back and go on down, hopefully it'll be back down here somewhere. Anyway, live stream every week, which keeps me on task, sort of constantly moving forward. But it is sometimes a distraction as well. Okay, so let's check. Like the productivity of the live stream is different than, so this would have been a boss room because you have a treasure room back here. This would have been a treasure room, I think, or it may just be coincidence that it's green. It is random too. Or this would have been the boss room or something. Anyway, these are not where we need to be. We need to hunt around a little bit. Anyway, yeah, but so anyway, the live streams keep me moving forward in some direction and keep it on everyone's mind. Okay, so this is not it either. We got a treasure room. Ah, there it is. So we can come in here and we can pick up our dungeon wand. So now we got our dungeon generator again. And then we can come up here and click on this and return to the entrance. Whoa. Whoa. So that takes us back to the top of the dungeon. Now, the way I set it up when I was prototyping this, if you left click here, it'll remove the dungeon. But the problem is that I think if I came down here, select our dungeon wand again. Okay. So if I go down here and I make another dungeon right here, doink. Oops, nope. Okay, so see, I clicked over here. I clicked the left click instead of the right click. I accidentally just deleted all of the, not just from my dungeon, but from the whole world. So, like if I generate another dungeon here, it will have its objects in it. Hold on. Takes it a second. Okay, there it goes. So see, it's got its campfires and its grates and things. But if I left click here, doink. it should turn it off. It's still doing some generation or something. Let's see. Oh, I don't have the wand anymore. But if we go back over here, like when I did that, it deleted all the objects from this dungeon, even though I was nowhere near this dungeon. So that's definitely something I'm going to have to turn off for anybody. Well, I think it might be already turned off for anybody but an admin, but I'm an admin. Either way, it's dangerous. Yeah, and anybody can do it. So let's say if true, return. Nobody can do it. Let's just say that has no effect. Okay, so alright, we'll head back over to this dungeon. And I'm going to cheat. Let's select the block wand. So there's two ways you can cheat here. One, you can start drilling down, just making holes in the thing. The dungeon is stacked, right? So you can come down here. The other is if you go to third person mode, you can clip through the blocks. You can see that's the whole dungeon laid out. And so if you come down here, you can kind of cheat. But eventually, like, this is a build wand, and it's a magic item. And certain wands will be restricted inside of dungeons so that you can't just do what I just did. Oh, we can go down further. In fact, we're not on the bottom level yet. But like a dungeon's no good if you can't. Oops, I think I went too low. A dungeon's no good if you can just drill all the way through the walls. Now, whether you want to like come here and chop your way through a wall, that's up to you, right? But being able to just res out a wall, that shouldn't be allowed. But if you want to go the old-fashioned way and equip your pickaxe, you know, and make all the noise and stuff, you know, hey, there's a bunch of monsters around, but that's okay. I think I'm going to go ahead and whack this wall over here, you know, until I can chip away and get all the way through. That's up to you. If you want to, like, sit here and chop through the walls like that, sure, go ahead. Maybe that's part of your strategy, and maybe it's fine. But you know, eventually you can make your way through. But normally the build one would be disabled in here, but not today. So let's go back over to third person mode where we can cheat properly, because that's that dungeon way over there, right? That's the other dungeon we generated. These almost connect. Okay, so let's just oops, I got very dark. No, there's not. That's like actually hard. Plus, any game that has that, it's like kind of not real. So it's I like the idea. I'm not gonna totally say I'm never gonna do it, but okay, cool. We found our. But it's hard to do it in a way that's satisfying for me. Water is going to be bad enough. Yes, exactly. Because you not only frustrating, but like where the logic breaks, it can't be accurate, right? So it's going to be pseudo accurate, and you're going to have to like learn when the accuracy breaks, right, in order to do anything. It would just, I think it would be incredibly frustrating. Why when I balance 5 blocks out does it fall apart, but 4 blocks doesn't, even though each one of these blocks weighs many tons, you know? It doesn't really make any sense. So, I mean, it's not the style of game I'm going for, but that doesn't mean I never will do it. Okay, so I got my wand back. That's what I was really out for. So now when I go out, so to get the scripts to recompile, I have to, for this particular thing, the scripts that are built into the game, I have to leave and come back in. But Man, we got like a ton of logging going on here. Oh, yeah. So I added some debugging, and that's what we're hitting. Yeah, so every time we chop something, we're getting tons of entity changes. Okay, so let's just kill that. I need to fix that. I was trying to figure out why I was running out of memory removing entities earlier. Okay, so now if we come back in, now if I try to click to delete, it should tell me that has no effect. Then later I can give myself an admin command to do it, and I have to make it also smarter. I think the dungeons are given an entity themselves, in which case I could associate all the objects as being created by or owned by that dungeon, so that I really could delete a single dungeon. It's a crime you only have 949 subscribers. Such a cool game. Oh, thanks. Well, if you're not subscribed, subscribe. So hopefully when I make this public release again, it'll build up a few more people. If you download the game from the link in the upper left, you can also join the Discord. We have a handful of regulars on the Discord as well, which is kind of nice. I mean, back in the day, it was really cool. Like when I originally started Mythruna back in 2011, the original version, we had a lot of users, and it was really neat because I could post something to Facebook and I'd get like likes right away. This was like before Discord. So now if I try to left click here, it should do nothing but tell me that I can't. Oh, wrong. I don't have the wand equipped, so let's put that back. Excuse me. So equip, doink. So now if I try it, doink. That has no effect. So cool. I think I was like 11 or 12 when I first found your game. Oh, nice. Yeah. I think that's kind of cool. I also think it's cool that some of the young people who have stuck around or come back have talked about how that this was one of the reasons they got into the technology field and stuff, these kinds of games, and I think that's really cool too. Because I think it's neat to be in the technology field, and so it's kind of cool. If I was inspired somebody in a little way of some kind. All right, so that's doing that. Yeah, so we're still getting a ton of logging here. Yeah, I feel like the Atlas Cell variant initializer, I think that we're generating a lot of mobs here, butterflies and things, and birds. I can see a butterfly over here. Oh, nice. Oh yeah, Roblox. My kids used to be big into Roblox when they were younger. Okay. Hey, cardinal. Giant cardinal. There's another bird over here. What kind of bird are you? You're also a cardinal. Cool deal. But yeah, there's the logging I've got to fix because that's too much logging. I'm not even sure what's going on here. Anyway, I'm not going to worry about that now. So, one other thing I want to do is look at prehistoric giant birds. Yeah, they're supposed to be smaller than that, but scaling of the mobs isn't working right without messing up their collision shapes, so I just haven't done it. So when we generate the dungeon, I want to we create all of the things. Create the dungeon generator. We clear the old dungeon only if clear old dungeon is set to true. Okay, so we don't. Dungeon marker. If I have a dungeon marker, that means that I created an entity for the dungeon. And I created an entity for the map, which could be the tool an admin could use to yeah, so when you create a dungeon and it creates the map, we could use the map as the parent to we own it. The activator owns it. But we could do no, that shouldn't be. Once we know the actual size of the first level, we can create the dungeon marker at the entrance that the player clicked. But I don't think they should own it. I think they should be the creator. Like, we should be able to see who created it. But the owned by should be the map object itself, which is map object. What a coincidence. Okay, so let's steal these. Doink. Oh yeah, gotta put the comma. Okay. So that created all the map objects, which means that you can't drag them, I think. So if that's true, place the end. The dungeon marker. Okay, so place end entrance marker. Did we actually create the map board? Map shape. Did we already create the dungeon by this point? Create block map. Oh yeah, so here we go. So that's where we've created the whole dungeon. Oh no, we just created the map. Where do we create the dungeon? Each entrance, we put some things. Where do we insert the... We get a transactional world. X world. Okay. So X world is what we're adding everything to. Yeah, so we insert each of the rooms. This is the false branch. We don't do this. Got something on my finger. Might have cut myself. So that's not real. These are prototype stuff. We can clear the old dungeon. We're not doing that. X world. We make the entrance. At each level? What I want to do is all of the objects that are created inside of the dungeon, I want them to have a parent, you know, that says who they are. Hey, Galactic Taco. Glad you could make it. I'll stream for another few minutes. I'm trying to figure out this dungeon generator again. So we set a bunch of things near the entrance. We go in here, we generate, or we generated all the rooms, and now we're inserting the rooms. And then we create a bunch of chests. And so here's where we could, yeah, see. I probably need to think about this a little bit more, because what I did down here isn't actually right. And that's also need to. Okay, so the map object. But we created all these grates and things, and they should be attributed to the dungeon. So we needed a main object, and I kind of want to make sure you can't put more than one dungeon in a particular column. So I'm not. So when we on place here, let's what I could have done is moved this over to prototype, which we still could do. So I got my wand back. Let's go over to, I'll show you, for those of you who are not familiar with this process, you can actually, so the game is moddable. Most of the things in the game now are implemented as built-in mods. So all of that stuff with the dungeon generator and stuff, that's all built-in mods, which means I can go in here and I can create, no, we don't want client mods, we want server mods. So I can create like runtime loadable mods. I thought I just had a general test. So let's just look, test mod dungeon test.groovy, and then dungeon test.groovy, and then we can say test dungeon wand equals make session wand. I think just session is fine. What do we want? Actually, we want everything that's in this session, the object position, and the block hit. And so then we can say session echo it's working. And then we can go back over here and we can say, we want to say test dungeon wand call session comma object position comma block hit. So this basically hooks up the built-in stuff, and then I'm going to say if true return, just so that we can call our things without generating a dungeon. And so with this, I should be able to edit the scripts at runtime, and so we can see what's what while the game is running. Play, because it takes a while to load the game, and so it's nice if you can just edit the scripts at runtime and just see the results right away. And what I want to make sure is that the dungeon wand can only create a dungeon, one dungeon per chunk, so to speak. And so then it can look to see if there's already a dungeon there or not before letting you place another one. And that also means the wand could be smart enough to remove its dungeon because it will know where it is. So we shall see. Play. Hello, Galactic Taco. Tacos. All right. do I play any games in my free time? So sometimes, I played Oblivion Remastered is I've got running right now, and I've been goofing around with. Um, the the thing is, like, I get like Mythruna at some point hit the point where it's my game now. Like, I look forward to getting back to it mostly. So if I click here, it should tell me, oops, it's working, and it placed the object. So I should be able to take it again. Yeah. Okay, so it's working means it's doing my thing. And it was weird that it placed it. Oh, now it's gone. Oh no. I really think something's wrong. It's there. I think some events haven't caught up. I may have just screwed myself. Shoot. Because that's not going to be helpful. I thought... I need to figure out why it's still dropping the wand. Oh, because on placed? Maybe? Yeah. Place is where I want... Ah, crap. So I may have screwed myself. I'll just flip to a different character, though. So let's not do this. Let's go back to on placed, and this is for any placeable. So we could actually just steal... Oops. I think we don't override place here. So I think that will work, but I gotta use my different character now because I just accidentally destroyed my wand for that character. Because it removed it without putting it anywhere. But before that, I spent a couple weekends addicted to astronauts. Before that, I played... Let's see, when I first got the PS5, which was only recently, I played... What the hell did I play? I'm trying to remember what I got on the PS5 when I first bought it. Oh, Baldur's Gate 3. Yeah, I spent tons of time in Baldur's Gate 3. Alright, here's another dungeon here. I should still have my wand. Okay, cool. Alright, so let's go somewhere else and make a dungeon. Assembly a fall from the existing dungeon. Alright. I like to find some, since it always generates a dungeon in a certain direction, I like to make sure it doesn't poke out of the side of a mountain or something. Okay, so if I right click here, it should just tell me I can't do it. Uh-oh. Oh no, we got a bug. Place on blah 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 blah. No such property object. Ah, frick. Yeah, because we're in a different... I forgot to rewire the parameters. Ugh. Actually, was... No, that's okay. We actually don't need to know the object position. So this is why I hooked the scripts up this way to develop them, because it just takes so long to restart the game every time. And Mythruna doesn't take a long time to start up, but when you got to do it a lot, it gets really old. So let's mess with a dungeon wand. It would be funny if you could remove your own dungeon, because you could create the dungeon, have somebody else go in there and like trap them in the block, in the rock. Be kind of funny. Anyway, so we'll get to see a little bit of scripting here. Alright, so if I right click, it should say you can't do that. Yeah, it did not. It failed again. The whole point is no signature method dungeon tests. It worked before. Alright, so maybe this is not going to be something quickly to do. Give it one more try. No signature method dungeon at where? Call the site dungeon wand groovy 686. Oh, I know what's wrong. Frick. So I might be able to live reload this one. Yeah, okay, so it redid the scripts. Now I should be able to right click. Yay, it's working! Cool! Okay, so now what I want to do is first we're going to decide how to define a... So let's see, session echo block hit. I'm trying to remember what's in a block hit. So now we can go back over here and go right click again, doink. Okay, so all the things in the bottom of that. We've got the location, the actual block cell, which is what we really want. Oh, we got the type, all kinds of things. But we really just want to take the block location, add the normal, I think. So let's take defloc equals block hit dot, what do I call it, block location, or just block, yeah. Block to vec3d, add, yeah, add local block hit dot normal. And so now we can say where our location is. It compiles, that's good. Right click again, boink. Yay, so that's where we're going to place our dungeon. And now we want to find out if there's one already here. So we want object type info, or wait, filter one equals object type info. It's sometimes it's easier for me to look in the code than it is to trust that I've written this down somewhere. type filter. Type filter dungeon, prototype dungeon. Def filter 2 equals, okay, first of all, we're going to want to know, we're going to want to make a spawn position so we can filter by the tile ID, kind of. Create. Oh, neat. Yep, new spawn position. So that's cool. I did it as a constructor. New spawn position loc. Come on, new quat D. So that should still compile. And then if I right click, oh yeah, it's very dark, but it's easier to see the text. That seems to have failed. Or no, I didn't print anything. That's fine. Session echo postat. Spawn position should have a bin ID. Bin. Pos.bin ID. So now if we right click, and I'm pretty sure the bin ID should be, yeah, based on the column. So now we know the bin ID. We can say spawn position C. I think it's, does it have a filter method of its own? Pretty sure. Bin filter. Spawn position bin filter. Pos.bin ID. So we're going to see one already exists. Filter equals component filters, or just filters, and filter 1, filter 2. Can I do that? Okay, let me compile. It's going to blow up, doesn't it? Blink. Yep. Because that is not no such property filter for class dungeon test. Oh, that's just stupid. Okay. I think it still blew up. No signature method, filter and, oh, we gotta pass a component type. Yeah, so I can't actually do like this. We gotta do an entity criteria. Yeah, that's better anyway. That's something I added later. New entity criteria. Add filter 1. Add filter 2. Criteria. I also played the Indiana Jones game briefly. Okay, cool. So now we can see def existing equals find entity. So, oh, I bet I called it something different. Find entity 2. Find entity 2 criteria. If existing Session echo reusing existing else existing equals new equals create entity pos object type info create yeah, just make sure I spelled those the same. Need to set up constants. Go create it. Okay, so now if we put it down, it should say there isn't one. So we created one, and if I try to do it again, it should say we're reusing the existing one. All right. So now I could rewire all of my dungeon stuff to create like a master entity for the dungeon, and have everything be a child of that. And I'm not going to do that on this because that's extremely tedious. But you can see a little bit about how the session echo creating dungeon. Yeah, we'll just leave that out. Yep. So that's how you can do the live reloading of scripts and things. And this is available to any user. Okay, so let me turn on, let me show that we can still, so let's turn on the grid. This is the grid that shows where one chunk, or whatever what I call a leaf or column, ends and the other begins. So if I do it here, it should create a new one. Come on. Yep, created. If I try it again, it'll reuse. And if I come back up over here to this grid up here and try it again, it should find that the existing one. Yep. Reusing. Okay, so I've got the basic, singleton toggle set up for the dungeon, and I need to hook the generator up. That'll be what I play with tonight. As far as critical things that are left on the task list for this release, I'm probably going to push these off till the future, but this one is to save me some trouble, because invariably once the server gets a lot of users, I get a certain amount of requests to reset passwords from people who can't remember their password or can't remember exactly how they entered it or whatever. It's very common. That's going to be pushed off. Yeah, if we fix the snow thing, I do still want to find time to fix this. So you guys who have played before notice, and I think this is a pain. So I'm going to turn lighting back on. Like, I'm going to fast forward the day. But if you're placing a custom object, like if you're using the object tool and you're placing something like, well, these are all going to, yeah, so the table. So I go down here and I place the table and I pick it up. You know, you can move the middle mouse wheel and it will rotate, but it rotates around a corner. And I kind of want it to rotate around its own center because it's kind of a pain. So I may try to get that one done before I cut a release next weekend. The other thing I want to flesh out more is the snap menu, because this is just snap it right to the nearest thing, but I want to like snap center, snap or snap angle, snap position kind of things, like have a sub menu under snap. But so that's something. Anyway, I think that's all I'm going to do tonight, guys. Thanks for hanging out with me. If you are not a subscriber, please subscribe. I'm getting very close to 1,000 subscribers, and that would be really neat, considering how long I've been around. So that would be cool. If you can like the video, that would also be cool. If you enjoy this content. If you are working on your own creative endeavors, I hope that you have nothing but the most creative time going forward this week, and that you're able to join me next Friday as we get ready for the release. We'll do a release polishing part 2, and I can put the patrons up. So Thanks a lot, guys, and I will see you next time. Thanks.